Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffery Combs, president and founder, 2 for Tuesday. Welcome. So I'm getting dialed in here. Good afternoon, everyone. There we go. There's the camera. Welcome, everyone. 2 for Tuesday. Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Right there we go. We are ready to the audience to show up. I have an absolutely outstanding Facebook Live for you. 2 of them today. Avery, how are you this afternoon? Thank you for joining me here at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on 2 for Tuesday. Jeffrey Feldman, how are you, my brother? Welcome to Facebook Live this afternoon. Carl Mason, welcome to Facebook Live this afternoon. 2 for Tuesday. It is March 22nd. So so that is 3/22/22. For those of you in numerology, you can figure that out. Sky, how are you this afternoon? For those of you who do not know Sky, Edmund Sky is a world-class photographer that I would absolutely endorse. Sky, let people know how to find you. Lori, good to see you this afternoon. Lori, my wife, is in Orange County, California. She is in Huntington Beach with her family for the next 3 days. She's enjoying Huntington Beach while I produce the results. Scott Lucas, good to see you this afternoon. I believe I saw, Heather, how are you this afternoon? Heather Bodgen, good to see you this afternoon. Sky gave me the clap there, so thank you very much. Scott Lucas, my co-collaborator on Sunday night's Sobriety Consciousness. Alicia Marie Sidoris. Alicia is a quantum healer and a woman who absolutely crushes the truth. Alicia, go ahead and let people know how they can receive your content. Alicia says she is open to receiving. So everyone say to yourself, I am a great receiver. That is the affirmation for today. Jordan Kiger, good to see you, my young superstar. Jordan, reach out to me after this Facebook Live. I know you deserve to communicate with me. I am a great receiver. I am in receive mode. So when you're receiving, you're oscillating, you're vibrating at a very, very high level of consciousness. So look at that spot on my head. It's interesting that I'm receiving. See that light that's coming in there? So receiving is a skill. The more that you understand that you are a great receiver, the higher the probability that you will be able to attract to your reality. So I'll be able to attract to your reality people and situations that are looking for you. I'm on Telegram. DM me if you can't find me. Alicia Marie Sidora said find her on Telegram if you can't find her on Facebook. Kayla Kershaw is here and TC Cole. Charles Howell, a native South Carolinian, is on today's Facebook Live. Topic for today's Facebook Live is open to receive. There is a great writer named Catherine Ponder. Catherine was a Unity minister, the Unity Church minister in Palm Springs, California from the 50s and 60s. And she wrote a great book called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. I'm going to get it for you as it is right behind me. This is Catherine's book right here, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. I highly recommend this book. And on top of that book were these 2 feathers. These are woodpecker feathers, a very, very endangered species that nest in my trees. Is that cool? California red-headed woodpeckers. For those just joining me once again, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. Catherine Ponder, a very, very thick book written in 1962. She also wrote a book, Open Your Heart to Receive. So as I said, receiving is a skill that very few people understand is a skill because we are conditioned to give, and we tend to give, and we give our power away, we overgive, we tend to over-obligate, we tend to do more for others than we do for ourselves, and we're typically out of balance between giving and receiving. So if you're an exceptional giver, that's awesome, but you also want to be equally skilled at receiving. Receiving compliments. Have you ever given someone a compliment and they deflected it and they went into fight or flight, and then they put you in a position to explain the compliment? Why would you say that? Well, I would say that because I feel it. When you have to validate a compliment to someone, it takes the whole energy out of the compliment. Mike Macon has joined us, and I saw Heidi. Good to see you this afternoon. So point number 1 on the syllabus here on the email if you receive this, open to receive, on point number 1 is receiving is a skill. And then number 2, the reasons why you don't receive. I'm going to do a Facebook Live tonight. It's called The Greatest Lie That We Tell Ourselves. The greatest lie we tell ourselves is that we're not good enough. And the reason that most people have challenges receiving is because their communication style is not open to it. The thought of being a 6-figure income earner, the thought of being a 7-figure income earner, the possibility of, I've never thought of it. Well, it's time that you begin to feel it and you step into the power of it. And you, on command, you start to become a manifester. And then you receive the results that you manifest and you feel comfortable with them. Who am I to be a 6-figure income earner? Who am I to be successful? Well, you are you, and you are free. That's who you are. You're a child of God. You're here today. You've been through a lot in your life. It's your turn. It's your time. It's your opportunity. Nicholas Stroop has joined us tonight. Nicholas is my 17-year-old superstar. Nicholas is one of 2 17-year-olds I'm coaching in 2022. Nicholas is learning how to receive. He's becoming an exceptional receiver. Debbie Fair, good to see you this afternoon. Receiving is a skill. We tend to give, and we give. Giving is also a skill, but how many of you have given for approval? You've given to fix someone up. You've overgiven out of duty and obligation, and then the people that you've given to did not recognize you. Well, that happens frequently in codependency, enabling, over-obligating, doing more for others. And when you build a team, a culture of people, and you enable them and you over-obligate yourself to them, and you don't create the unity and you don't create the independence required, then dependence is created. And the more that you begin to let go of this and you let people independently be on their own, and the more non-attached you become, so that you can become independent, so that you can open your heart to receive. The more that you let go of being a people pleaser and becoming a people person, rather than being a people pleaser, you want to be a people person where you can create on command with people and you can live the laws of prosperity in flow. You're not in resistance. You're not overwhelmed. You're not pushing the rock up the hill. You're in receive mode. And as you step into that power, more and more situations that will happen to you synchronistically. Back-to-back days, 2 of my clients rehired me without me asking them. I mean, that's the law of prosperity. That's what happened to you also. You want to open your inbox or open your message center, whatever it is, and that you see there are people in there seeking to connect with you. They're asking to buy from you, hire you, join you, be your friend, be your teammate. And when you let go of your trust issues, you're able to receive. But if you have trust issues, not able to trust yourself, not able to trust others, it will show up in your inability to receive. And the more that you let go of not feeling good enough. As I said, later tonight, I'm going to be covering this content. The greatest lie we tell ourselves that we are not good enough. And not being good enough comes from the events that shape our feelings. If you grew up in households where there is violence, you grew up in households where there's addiction, household where there is shaming and guilting, households that are broken with men and women going in and out of the households. If you have more than one family, you have this family, and you're growing up with this family and this family over here, there's a high probability, there's a lot of unpredictability. That unpredictability that you live in creates emotions that lead to anxiety, fear, and doubt. And that anxiety, fear, and doubt creates fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, you're in uncertainty, and it leaves you not feeling good enough. To become a great receiver is to be able to accept that you're capable of it, to be able to accept that you're good enough. And if you're not good enough, then you're not good enough. And so that becomes the duality that so many people live in. It's the hurt, harm, blame, shame game that so many people hold on to, feeling wounded, sensitive, and defensive, not feeling good enough, which inhibits your ability to receive. And that typically brings on a lot of addictions, specifically stuffed feelings. Food becomes the drug of choice for the world populace, stuffing their feelings. The affirmation to release those feelings is, I am letting go of the feelings I stuff that holds my weight in place. I am letting go of the feelings I stuff that holds my weight in place. And then as you feel comfortable in receiving, you can step into production. The reason that most people don't produce results because they don't believe they're capable of it. They don't know what to say, who to be, what to do, and then the trauma bonds and panic patterns they hold on to rule their emotional state, and then they chronically avoid. They avoid relationships, they avoid success, they avoid connections, they avoid intimacy, they become chronic avoiders. And if that is you, today is the day to receive and let go. Receiving is a skill. I am a great receiver. Now that I'm grown up, I give myself permission to receive without any stipulations around it. As you become a great receiver, as you receive and let go, as you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape your feelings, and you open yourself up to receive. You become a vessel, a channel. You're in the flow. You're in the now, in the know, right here, right now, receiving. And this is how people message you. They find you organically, synchronistically. They virtually show up. And in that alignment, it can happen all around you. Contractors, vendors, coaches, teammates, soulmates, people you mate, date, associate with, because they begin to show up because of the person you are. When you stop forcing situations, when you're not in a force-counter-force relationship, when situations are hard, when you let go of difficulty, when you focus on the skills, the mindset, the habits, the routine, when you begin to put energy into this, the weight and feelings you hold on to begin to drop off of you. The anxiety you have about money, you start to eliminate your liability debt. You start to create results that lends to creating money so you can live a better life. That's all part of receiving. But many people don't have challenges receiving on a job. They'll receive what their employer pays them. And it's usually a little check that's barely enough to get by. And if you lived in that state of unconscious consciousness, or you tell yourself, I'm not good enough to lead, I couldn't mentor anyone, well, that continues to create the situation that keeps you in liability debt, overwhelmed, struggling with money, struggling with receiving, struggling with asking. Receiving's a byproduct of receiving is also not only acceptance, but is in asking for the commitment, asking for the order, asking for the sale, asking for the date, trial closing by asking questions about the outcome that hasn't happened. When you become skilled at this skill, you start to have command of the situation. You're able to lead people by example. You're able to ask people questions about outcomes. You're able to be in a very relaxed body, receiving what life will offer you, creating what life will offer you, being in a completely relaxed, released state where receiving becomes a skill. And I was a very good waiter in my late teens and 20s. I was very skilled at receiving tips. I was compensated to ensure promptnesses frequently at a higher law of averages than other people around me. I didn't feel guilty about that. Guilt is an emotion and shame is a separate emotion that hinders a large percent of the world from being able to receive. If you've got a family that has used guilt to control you, and they've used money as an excuse with that guilt, and then they talk about wealthy people or people who have money, and they de-edify people who have money. They de-edify people who own their own businesses, and they talk down and talk smack and talk shit and all these other things that these people do to de-edify people who are actually accomplishing. Oftentimes the non-accomplishers make fun of the accomplishers. They point out character defects in people that are really character defects about themselves. And the more you're able to let these people go, not give them energy, not be in conflict with them, not overwhelm yourself, the more focused you are on being your best self, focused on others by delivering service and value, and you focus on being your best you one day at a time. That means you're not criticizing yourself, you're not overwhelmed, you're not telling yourself stories, you're not telling yourself riddles. You're focused on living the solution, creating results on command. And in that state, the universe rewards you by compensating you for your value. And as you begin to have this happen to you more frequently, and you start to raise your value ladder, that means you escalate consciousness, then there's no limitation to what you can create on command. That means that there's no rules in free enterprise when it comes to who and what you can create. I mean, it's like creation on command. It's completely a new energy. It's a new consciousness, and it's very liberating if you allow yourself to receive. And when you receive that content, you let go of analyzing it, trying to figure it out. When you start to download content and then you don't like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? This is overwhelming. When you do that, now you've just shut off the flow of it. When you're open to receive, when you're receiving the content, downloading it from the quantum field, it means it's like this, it's happening fast. And then you live in the know. You know what's going on behind the veil. You know what's going on behind mainstream media. You know what's going on behind the facade. When you start to understand this, you're in receive mode. This is an amazing experience for you to live in receive mode, because organically people and situations will show up. It's not hocus pocus, you're in focus. The parking space is right there. That's not an accident. You go into the restaurant, it just so happens the best table is reserved for you. You go into the restaurant and the service you attract is exemplary. The person is warm, friendly, and it feels like you're the only one in the restaurant. I mean, this is part of receive mode. People are warm and friendly to you. You're also easily able to neutralize people when you're in receive mode, because you don't personalize it. You know that if it doesn't happen here, it's going to happen over here. And that's because you're able to easily and effortlessly let go. Being a receiver is the skill. Asking, receiving, and deserving. Those are the components to it. Ask for what the universe will deliver for you. Ask for what you're committed to creating. Ask for the outcome that's in alignment with who you are. Ask for commitments. Ask for other people to show up on command for you. So the more that you let go, the more you separate your feelings from the events that shape them. Now this shows up in selling so frequently. A large percent of the world is uncomfortable with asking. Well, if you're in a business that requires sales, branding, and marketing skills, it's going to require you to be able to sell your products, services, benefits, and features. As you begin to let go of the anxiety about the outcome, as you step into your power and ask for commitments. But you do this in a very relaxed energy. It's not forced. It's not controlled. It's not contrived. You're not trying to backdoor someone into it. You simply ask the questions and let the cards follow the R. I want to acknowledge a few people who are on here this afternoon, some exceptional sales professionals and business owners. I see Lisa Faye Pazanza, Joe DiBianca, one of the most an exceptional human being, Susan Dampier, so good to see you, Scott Lucas, Ann DeMaro Barante, good to see all of you. I mean, I coached many of you 10 years ago, some of you, and I've watched you absolutely blossom, flourish, step into your power, create on command, be leaders that people are looking for. I've seen many of you become mentors and have mentorees. I mean, it's amazing to watch many of you step into your power. I mean, I've watched several of you in the last 10 years. Bryce, good to see you this afternoon. So I've seen many of you cross the bridge and you've stepped into prosperity. You're in the flow. You're in the hands-free zone. It's happening with you. I mean, it's the universe is rewarding you for the man and woman you're becoming. That happens when you have the simple discipline. You have the routines and the habits. You read the books. Once again, here's a great book that will really facilitate this. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, written by Catherine Ponder, DeVos Publishing, which is also the publisher of the original Florence Shinn books published in the late 80s, My Word is My Wand, The Game of Life, and How to Play It. DeVos Publishing also published Florence Shinn's affirmation cards that I first started using. I started using affirmation cards in 1992, and a lot of those affirmation cards were about casting the burden. Cast the burden to the Christ within. Live and let God. Let go on command. And the more that I started to understand the spirituality of asking, deserving, and receiving, the more I started into the spirituality of recovery and started to let go of the anger and resentment that I held on to. I'm a recovering resenter, what I would be envious of other people's success. Envious while silently brooding, being pissed off. I'm like clapping for someone's success, silently brooding and being pissed off that why are they on stage and I'm not? Well, I wasn't there because I was too angry. I couldn't attract to my reality the prosperity that I knew I was capable of, but that knew I was capable of, I would have to give up that anger, that control that would keep me from attracting the people. I would attract these people who wouldn't produce and wouldn't perform to my standards because my standards were too high. I was too rigid. I was unapproachable, unavailable. But I could say fuck it and produce on command, but I could not duplicate. As I learned after 8 years of full-time network marketing and direct sales, that it was also a business of duplication in a simplistic forum where other people could duplicate, and it wasn't about me doing all the meetings and all the events and doing all the three-way calls and exhausting myself so I could be the noble struggler. As I learned to let go of that, it was amazing what began to show up. Between 1996 and 1998, I had a team where over 25 people achieved six figures. There was a complete difference between 8 years prior. I didn't have one person ever achieve a six-figure income in my first 8 years in a leveraged business. But once I started to understand letting go, and I hit an emotional rock bottom financially, where I was in the NFL club in three categories: no funds left, no friends left, and not for long. It was the trifecta of NFL. And it's not like you require being in that space. What you require is letting go and really starting to receive the greatness that's within you. Receive the energy that you're capable of transmuting. Receive the love that other people are willing to offer you. Receive the mentorship, not being so sensitive and defensive when someone of influence, of affluence, is giving you context and insight and wisdom. And your ego goes, fuck this, I'm going to be pissed off. I mean, that's what so many people do. They're sensitive and defensive, and they're not receive mode. And when you're an ambassador of change, you don't have to confront people. You give them wisdom and insight, and then you let the cards fall. And you can just step away and let people be right and let people smolder and be sensitive and defensive. When you know that you're coming from your highest good, you're giving insight and wisdom. And you're offering insight so that they can receive. And you'll find that not everyone's a receiver. A lot of people are too angry, and they're angry givers, and they can't receive because it contradicts who they are. And that would contradict their trauma bonds and panic patterns. And as you have a better understanding of that, you can let people go easily and effortlessly. There are a lot of people in the world that are just so offendable that they go out of their way to be offended. Even when you're delivering from your goodness, there are these people that want to be offended, and so they'll find a way to be offended. And as you become an ambassador of change, you are easily and effortlessly letting not only these people go, you're letting go the energy around it. Aaron says, as I raise my value, my ability to receive is increased. Susan says, I've experienced this myself over the past year and a half. It's such an amazing feeling to see my team when I can't see the rest of it. That's absolutely correct. So as you begin to improve on your energy and you begin to stay more consistent in your emotions, and you go up and down the scale of consciousness less and less, and you stay in a state of consciousness that's right here, right now, where you're in receive mode. And there are many of that you receive content, you're receiving, you're downloading it. You know what's going on in the world. You know history. You're able to receive content without reading the books because it's coming to you quickly. And when it comes to you, you learn to download it and apply it instead of just download it and sit on it. So that it's a concurrent situation. Is you receive and produce, you receive and relax, you receive and disperse love, you receive and become an ambassador of it, you receive and you give it back. I mean, you don't receive and hold on to it because that creates receive scarcity because you're worried that it's not going to come back. When you're open to receive, it ebbs and it flows. It's not an ebb and flow, it flows. It's flowing to you. And it's an endless supply that you never run out of. And when in that state of receiving, there's no scarcity because you're not worried about what's going to happen. Oh my God, the gas prices are going to happen. The economy is going to collapse. I mean, how many times have you heard the economy is going to collapse? I mean, how many times have you heard that? I mean, Y2K, Mayan calendar. Just pull any one of these situations when the economy, the world, and then the new economy that's coming out. I mean, you've heard this, but your economy is your economy. When you're creating results in a relaxed body, you are your economy. You are creating results on your terms and your time frames, especially when you're in a very relaxed energy in a place called consciousness. When you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, then you are you and you are free. That freedom that you begin to experience lets go of the ties that bind. It lets go of the rules and regulations that other people have put on you. It lets go of the guilt and shame, the guilt that people have put on you and the shame you hold on to that keeps you not feeling good enough. Tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be hosting a Facebook Live on the greatest lie we tell ourselves. The greatest lie we tell ourselves is that we are not good enough. That's the greatest lie we tell ourselves. And it becomes so great that many people become pathological liars about telling themselves they're not good enough. And the outcome of telling yourself you're not good enough and the payoff that people receive from not being good enough is they don't have to perform. And that keeps them from being responsible. The deep-seated anxiety about being successful really shows up masked as fear of success, or mask of fear of failure when it's really fear of success that so many people hold on to. So if you're watching this content today and you are a former client who coached with me back in the day and you'd like to re-engage with me for 2022, or if you're new to my content here this afternoon and you'd like to add on your existing coaching or find out about my coaching value that I'm offering in 2022, then send me a message up in Facebook Messenger. Once again, here's a world-class book for you, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by the late Catherine Ponder. This book was written in 1962. Catherine Ponder was a Unity minister in Palm Springs, California. I've been reading her content for 25 years. She also wrote a book, Open to Receive. Today is number 1 of 2 for Tuesday. Tonight, the greatest lie we tell ourselves, I am not good enough. Have a great afternoon. Kevin, good to see you, my brother. Aaron says, I no longer accept living in lack. I believe, I achieve, and I receive. I am in receive mode. Affirmation of today, I am an exceptional receiver. Now that I'm grown up, I'm able to receive on my terms and my time frame. Now that I'm grown up, I'm able to teach receiving skills. Now that I'm a great receiver, I'm able to inspire others to receive on their terms and their time frames. Write a few affirmations about receive. Integrate it. And another word that is concurrent with receiving is deserving. It's a word that's seldom used in context. I deserve to receive. I mean, put it in the same sentences. Now it's back to back. Have a great afternoon, everyone.